on to BWTV. Before we actually talk about the company and what was the story like, I want to go to Shantanu first. And could you please start talking about your days with McKinsey and how actually then this happened?
I joined McKinsey in 2011 from IIM Lucknow. It is a very classical consulting journey. Joined as an associate, went up the ladders, served large corporations in India and outside, board level engagement, outstanding in terms of problem solving skills, relationship building, understanding business. I took a special liking to retail, sales and marketing and so on. Spent 5 years there, found a lot of mentors. Our initial investor group was almost 30 people, all of whom were either clients or partners at McKinsey and Company. So I personally credited a lot of my personal growth as well as Bombay Shaving Company's early formative journey to McKinsey. Great finishing school, man. I learned so much about building companies. I think the seed of entrepreneurship also came from the firm. I thought about Bombay Shaving Company for almost 2 years before I left and started up. So it was a fascinating place, and I still hold the firm. I'm an advisor at the firm in their consumer practice. I spend a day a month with them on the average. Big fan of the firm.
That's great. That's great. My question to both of you: what actually in your journey till here, since the inception till now, you must have seen the ups and the downs of the journey. What are some of the factors that actually worked well in your favor, magically?
I think one is obsessive consumer focus, because we believe, and when I think the company was started until now, that given a single incumbent category, there is a lot that can be done for the consumer, just because the consumer needs are evolving. The new age consumers have very different need from the consumers in their 40s and 50s and so on. This is one. Second is they focus on innovation. We have micro innovated on every single product we launch. We didn't get into rut of launching too many products and see what's working. We have been very thoughtful about what we launch and what consumer needed solve. And third is I think the creative marketing in terms of educating consumers, because men as a consumer, we believe that kind of is a highly underpenetrated category, and men don't know what product to use and how to use them, right? So the role of the brand in that journey becomes very important. So I think that's the role we have played from day one. We have not launched a single, like when we launched our first shaving regimen, it was a regimen which has a 6 part shaving steps in terms of the right way of shaving, etc. And we continue to do that in different ways, right? So education through content, and now I think barbershop, where we kind of have elevated the conversation towards entrepreneurship, making it very purpose driven, has been I think 3 core pillars. And fourth is the team we have built in terms of, I think we have got one of the best FMCG teams working for a young company like ours, kind of working on the vision.
I agree with Deepak completely. I think the other thing I would add is we have kind of got the backing from building a leadership team, consumer focus, building a brand and product portfolio. I think we've gotten right. Of course, we made mistakes along the way, as any company would. Yeah. But I think strategically, we are backed by amazing investors, whether it's the McKinsey partnership, whether it's Colgate and Reckitt, whether it's hedge funds, early stage venture capital like 6 Sense. Just the gamut of investors and the insights that come in the boardroom are quite incredible. I don't think we can ascribe a value to how much they help a young company in charting out strategy. So when Deepak says we are thoughtful about a lot of our launches, I think the way the board and our mentors kind of really help us, it makes us a lot sharper. So we hopefully make far fewer mistakes than we would have.
Before we actually talk from an industry perspective, what would you say? What can be some of the great factors to get consumers, keep them intact, and get them recurring? What can be the strong factors?
3 things. I think number 1 is a great product experience. Number 2 is a compelling emotional story which attracts them to the brand. And the third thing is distribution and access. So if you make a great product, you tell the consumer a great emotive story as to why to use the product, and you make sure it's available in every retail environment that consumer is going to go to. That's if you get these 3 right, and these are very non-trivial things. Each of them is hard to do. But if you get 3 of them right, then that's the recipe in my view of building a consumer brand, not only in India but globally.
Yeah.
It takes time, but I think it
D2C had its inflection point specifically during the COVID times, lockdown, just because, and specifically this category, personal care. That's true. Specifically in India, we have more consumer masses that are still lying in tier 2, tier 3 cities. What's your plan to go there?
My view is consumer is digitally equal. Okay, a consumer who's looking for a razor in Bhilai was a consumer looking for a razor in Greater Kailash or Bandra is broadly the same.
Absolutely.
Amazon will deliver maybe एक आध दिन का फर्क होगा, right? The consumer in Bhilai has just as much money, has just as much aspiration, is consuming the same content, consuming the same Instagram, same YouTube, same everything, right? Understands English broadly. There's no difference in the consumer from an aspiration standpoint. Of course, for us, the differentiator is how much time will it take for us to get into real, meaningful distribution in tier 2, tier 3 India offline.
Absolutely.
The good part is consumer डिमांड अगर आप क्रिएट कर पाओ, अगर आप कंज्यूमर डिमांड क्रिएट कर पाओ भिलाई में, तो वहां पे दुकानदार आपसे मांग ही लेगा, आपको मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ती वहां पे जाने के लिए. देन इवेंचुअली द पाइपलाइन गेट्स क्रिएटेड. सो आई थिंक फॉर अस इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ टाइम. वी स्टार्टेड एज अ मेट्रो phenomenon, Bombay Shaving Company, all of that. Absolutely. But now I think it's almost half our business comes from tier 2, tier 3 India. If you look at Flipkart, for example, it's a growing business fundamentally because our prices have come down, it's become a lot more democratized, we're participating in larger categories like trimmers, deodorants, fragrances, face washes, etc. So it's not remained just a hygiene hair removal, that's our core, but we are a much more established business in other categories also.
And we are seeing this, we have EBOs in the tier 2 cities. We have EBO in Jammu where we see far more offtake compared to even metro EBOs. So I think clearly the consumer there is also aspirational and kind of willing to consume new age brands and kind of looking for alternatives. So the only thing is I think the access and availability will take some time.
अब एक बात बताओ, if you look at tier 2, tier 3 India, disposable income, at the same disposable income, वहाँ पे they don't have expensive restaurants, they don't have expensive malls, they don't have any of this stuff. So खर्चे कहाँ? It's all about online, right? So that we become part of
Absolutely,
the part.
Absolutely. You have been very heavy on marketing from past 6-7 months maybe. What's your plan and how much went into it?
Look, we spend around overall maybe 30 to 35% of our revenues on marketing.
And your last revenue disclosed was 100 crores for 2022.
2023 FI was 187 crores.
187. Crazy growth.
It's 70-75% growth over FY22. And we are looking at like 50-60% growth, but far more leaner and efficient business for FY24, right? But marketing we're a marketing company. We're a brand building company. We take our products, tell stories, and build distribution. So it's going to continue.
Which logo is that?
Change the logo.
Yeah.
Saying something, I'll answer this question.
Please.
No, I was saying that even in this market, I think good businesses continues to be great, right?
Absolutely.
And they continues to attract capital. So I think also this put a lot of pressure on the founders to build businesses with great foundations and then kind of keep the focus on profitability in mind, which I think went haywire for some time. That was something I was adding. So,
I agree.
Especially in 2021.
Look at Drools, for example, what a fantastic business. Just raised an amazing amount of capital from El Capitan. So good businesses will always get money. In fact, good businesses get very good money in funding winter because deployment becomes very sharp instead of like just putting everywhere. No, it's not about discovery. Family offices have started evaluating asset classes that are private in nature very recently. After the success of certain VC fund and so on, suddenly people have a lot of capital to start figuring out, okay, fine, instead of putting all the money in public markets, I can put 90% in public, 10% in private. Very asset class allocation thing. It's not like they did not know it existed. It's just that now returns have become, so a lot of family offices are professionalized. They start operating like VCs, they get an analysts and associates and deal flow managers and so on, right? So I think it's the nature of the game. It's the capital will continue to get deployed. Even if it's getting deployed in public markets, it will find its way to private markets eventually. So it's just a routing thing. But it's good for entrepreneurs to have access to multiple sources of capital.
Risk profile is changing. I think as they are expanding their team, like a lot of family offices, like Shantanu mentioned now, analysts who kind of actually get deeper into the business the way VC will go, right? But VC have a very different risk profile versus the family offices. I think it will keep evolving as more opportunities.
Family office is single LP VC basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. And that's something very, very dear to some people. So that's
Tell
me something about Razorpreneur.
No, I think three things happened. Number one, Bombay Shaving Company went from being a D2C online brand through COVID. It's become a
It was never D2C.
It started off as well. First 2 years was always D2C, only D2C.
Selling a 6-part shaving kit, which was
3,000 rupees single SKU product, that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else, right? So we ended up D2C, and over COVID we kind of expanded into online, offline, etc. So the brand had to become a omnichannel participation in large game kind of brand, right? It's not just a D2C business, it's a big brand. We're the number 2 shaving brand in Metro India today. Okay, from bathroom penetration, market share, whatever. Number 2, we're launching razors. It's a category that's a bloody battlefield. It's brutal, but we're taking a big step there. And third thing, we have launched Barbershop, which has become the fastest growing entrepreneurship podcast in the country.
Yeah.
Okay, so these 3 things combine. Okay, to say, hey, new brand, amazing razors, great marketing property. How do you bring it together? So Razorpreneur is basically an entrepreneurship contest. We're telling every entrepreneur or possible, aspiring entrepreneur to come and learn how to sell. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to first learn how to sell. वो है ना पेन बेच के दिखाओ मेरे को, MBA का जो क्वेश्चन होता है वही है, रेजर बेच के दिखाओ. So our new range of razors, we go to Tech Sensi Smart 3 and tell everyone in India कि तुमको जब entrepreneur बनना है ना, ये सब भूल जाओ. फंड रेजिंग, इन्वेस्टर, VC, स्ट्रैटेजी, विजन, ये सब बकवास है. सब बकवास है. अगर आपको बेचना नहीं आता तो ये सब कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं.
Right from selling your idea, actually.
Sell. So how do you learn how to sell? Is through Razorpreneur. So we have got razor gurus, and we'll declare who they are shortly. We can't do it right now, but they are going to help. We have amazing prizes, and the top 10 Razorpreneurs from the country will come into the barbershop for a mega season finale. We will invest in their companies when they start their companies. We have cash prizes for the best college, best Razorpreneur, most innovative Razorpreneur, most viral Razorpreneur, etc. It's a full-fledged social media driven entrepreneurship challenge with our razor at the very core. And it combines our new brand, combines our razors, combines barbershop. I think a lot of things, right? We have got the right demographic. I think we've got a young India. We have got a stable.
77% of it will reach Gen Z millennials.
Yeah, and under 40, right? We have broadly stable borders. We have a government that is functional. You may agree or disagree with different political ideologies, but the government structure is kind of safe. We have an amazing infrastructure foundation, whether it's physical infrastructure around roads, railways, transport, or whether it's now the payment infrastructure. Banking institutions are kind of very penetrated, right? It's easy to bank in India. It's easy to make cash transactions in India through UPI now, right? So a lot of things help enterprises, and SMEs have been a very pivotal part of India's story over the last 50-60 years. We have global industries like IT have come out of India because we were able to solve IT problems of the world, right? So broadly, I think India is in an amazing place because all these things mix. But if you look at geopolitics globally, I think Europe is significantly degrowing, right? There's stagnation across some economies. A lot of them are in doldrums. You look at Southeast Asia, it's problematic. A lot of manufacturing is moving to India from China because of the post-COVID impact that has happened. We have a Prime Minister who clearly is intent on building relationships with global partners.
Digital and physical infrastructure.
Right? So many things tick the box, which make India there's a lot of potential for flourishing, but we have to be kind of.
And there are parallels. I think China has seen this in 70s, 80s. So I think this is India's time.
That's right. To the next level of next inflection point, next level of growth, whatever your goal is right now, what would it take, and what are your plans for that?
I think for us, it's going to be about focus and profitability, right? We now know what to sell. We now know that in consumers' mind, we have a right to win in hair removal, hygiene across both our men's brand Bombay Shaving Company and our women's brand Bombay. We know channels. We know what it means to succeed in an Amazon versus Flipkart versus a Nykaa versus Myntra versus DMart versus Reliance, whatever. Any channel we are selling, we know broadly how to sell there. What is the assortment? What is the merchandising? How do you succeed? Third is we build a great team. The team knows it's a well-oiled engine. People, there's senior leadership, there's management. They're well incentivized. They're well mandated. We run the business with a certain amount of discipline and empathy, right? And we are backed by great investors. Whenever we need capital, whether it's debt or equity, we have access to it, right? So now we don't have a reason to not just get up in the morning, go to office and do exactly what is needed, because now the unknowns are fewer, okay? The one thing that we need to be as a company, and I think as an ecosystem, is patient, because brands take time and cycles like this require patience to come out the other side and kind of really reap
actually
rewards.
make brand and the founders and the leaders more resilient, more strong.
I think resilience is solved. We are a battle-hardened business, right? It's been 7-8 years. But I think we have to be patient. Like outcomes at this scale, from 186 crores to 270 crores to 400 to 1000 is a patient journey. कल नहीं होगा ये, कल उठ के कि दुकानों में जाके रख दो और हो
और
जाएगा.
अगर होगा
तो अनसस्टेनेबल है. तो फिर तुमने खरीद लिया है वो, राइट? तो माय व्यू इज कि पेशेंट रहो, वही चीज़ें करो, कंसिस्टेंट रहो, डिसिप्लिन रहो. कभी कभी बोरिंग लगता है अच्छा धंधा बनाना. Like 0 to 1 journeys are exciting. 1 to 10 journeys are boring. But they're boring because they require consistency and efficiency. It's about compounding. So stay to the course, and that's why a lot of people say, if you survive, you thrive. So
before we actually close, just final question to both of you. As an entrepreneur, what part of your job you love the most?
meeting Deepak again.
I think for me it's just working with raw talent. We have seen like people kind of coming in very early. They're like just fresh out of college and now taking far bigger mandates in the organization. Very passionate. So I come from a large FMCG, spent almost a decade there. Just seeing that kind of passion, enthusiasm of building something, I think for me like that keeps me excited every day.
Interesting. Something for you too?
Yeah, no, I think I was not kidding when I said working with Deepak. That's one of very, like he's right. I think working with people who inspire me, people who I learn from, is obviously a big high. I genuinely believe that we are a part of a big movement of building brands out of India. India has built amazing businesses. India has been a service-driven economy. We have built, we have taken yoga to the world. We have taken Ayurveda to the world. We are known as a culture. We have taken food to the world in an interesting way. But we have not yet taken brands at scale to the world. We have, but not to the level at which American brands, for example,
Taken services sector have done a lot,
maybe
yeah,
tech,
but
maybe IT.
physical products, yeah, FMCG.
but consumer brands,
Consumer brands,
auto is like a much ahead of, like, for example, you look Royal Enfield or Tata or Mahindra are doing amazing work. But consumer brands for the world, I believe
This is
that,
now the right time.
yeah, I think that excites me that we are part of that.
That's interesting. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
nice
for your
meeting
time.
you.
Thank you so much. Take care.